Hello everyone, and welcome once again to my channel. Today we will be learning how to express numbers in standard form. How to express numbers in standard form. Now, a number is said to be in standard form when it is written as a multiplied by 10 raised to power n. A number is said to be in standard form when it is written or expressed in this form. Now, the a in this expression is a number between 1 and 10, usually a decimal number, while the power n is an integer. So for those that don't know what an integer is a whole number which includes positive and negative numbers as well as zeros. So for example, we can have an integer as 1 or minus 1, 2, minus 2. We can also have it as maybe 3, minus 3. We can even have it as zeros, as a 0, etc. So all these are examples of integers, which means that all these can be numbers which are used to represent our n. Now, moving on, we can see some examples of numbers expressed in standard form. Here we have a 4.658 times 10 raised to power 2. And also we have 7.1 times 10 raised to power minus 3. We can see that these two examples look exactly like this expression which we have here. 4.658 is a decimal number, and you can see that 4.658 is between 1 and 10. The same thing here, 7.1 is a decimal number, and 7.1 is between the values of 1 and 10. Then for the powers of 10, you can see here 10 raised to power 2. 2 is an integer, while here we have times 10 raised to power minus 3. Minus 3 is also an integer because it is a negative number. Now let's go over to this other side of the board where we have a table which shows the multiples of 10 expressed as powers of 10. Now on this side of the table we have numbers, and then on this other side we have them expressed as powers of 10. Now these numbers here are values. They give us the values of certain numbers, while on the right it shows us these numbers, how they are being expressed as powers of 10s. Now for this first one, which is 1,000, we can express it as a power of 10 by 10 raised to power 3. When we raise 10 to power 3, it gives us 1,000. Then for 100, this is 100. When we express 100 as a power of 10, it gives you 10 raised to power 2. And this is 10. When you express 10 as a power of 10, it gives you 10 raised to power 1. Now, we have other ones like 1 expressed to the power of 10 gives you 10 to the power 0. 0.1 expressed to the power of 10 gives you 10 raised to the power minus 1, and so on and so forth. Now, the reason why this table is very important is because of these values here. They represent the numbers which you will be given and asked to express in standard form. And then these powers of 10 represent these powers here. This 10 raised to power n. They represent the powers of 10 that you will multiply the number you have been given with in order for you to express it in standard form. Now, it may not seem clear to you, but as we go into doing some worked examples, it will become clearer to you. Okay, now we want to look at some examples on how to express numbers in standard form. And you can see we have about 4 examples. These first 2 examples are whole numbers, while these second 2 examples are numbers which are decimal fractions. So we're going to look at how we're going to express the following numbers in standard form: whole numbers and also decimal numbers. Now, what I want to point out to us is that in expressing numbers in standard form, we need to take note of the decimal points. You may ask yourself, in whole numbers, where are the decimal points? Now, I can tell you that for whole numbers, the decimal points are located at the end of the number. So for 569, decimal points can be located at the end of the number. The same thing here at 97,530, the decimal point is located at the end of the number. So whenever you have a whole number and you say, oh, where's the decimal point? Notice that the decimal point is located at the end of the number. So now, remember that we mentioned that for a number to be expressed in standard form, it has to take this form: a times 10 raised to the power n. Now, the a is a number, is a range of number between 1 and 10. And you can see that for this number, 569 is larger than 10. So how are we going to get our a in this number? So what we're going to do is we're going to move the decimal point a number of places so that we cannot get a number that is between 1 and 10. Okay, so now from this point, we're going to move the decimal point to the left so that its value will decrease and we'll now get it to be between 1 and 10. So now from here, I take the decimal point, move it here, and move it here. And when I move it there, I get 5.69. I take decimal point from here and I move it 2 places to the left, 1 and 2. And when I do that, the decimal point now ends here, which is 5.69. Now 5.69 is a number between 1 and 10, which means that 5.69 will now be our a. Now you put your multiplication sign and you put your 10. Now the question arises, what would be our value of n? Well, it's very simple, but it's something that we need to take note of so as not to make an error. Now, when you're expressing whole numbers in standard form and then you're moving the decimal point, you need to first of all note the direction in which you're moving the decimal point and then note the number of places you're moving the decimal point. Now, for this case, we move the decimal point 2 places, 1 and 2, and then we also moved it to the left. We moved it 2 places to the left. So because we moved it 2 places and we also moved it to the left, the value of the n will be 2. So the value of n will be 2. Why? Because we moved the decimal point 2 places and we moved it 2 places to the left. So now this will be 569 expressed in standard form. Now let's go to the second one, which is 97,530. Once we express it in standard form, we already included the decimal points. So now what we do, we're going to move the decimal points some places, some steps. And also when we do that, we're going to move it to the point that we'll get a value which is between 1 and 10. So we'll take this decimal points, we count 1, 2, 3, and 4. That will now give us 9.7530, which is now a value that is between 1 and 10. Now, that will now give us our a, because a is a value between 1 and 10. So 9.7530 is between 1 and 10. So we'll now put our multiplication sign and then we put our 10. So we'll now ask the second question. What will be our value for our n? Because we know that this is the expression for numbers in standard form. We've gotten our a and written our 10. So now what is left is for our n. What will be our value of n? I remember I said that when expressing whole numbers in standard form, you take note of the number of places you move the decimal point and also the direction. In this case, once again, we moved it to the left, and the number of places we moved it to was 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that means this value of n in this number expressed in standard form will be 10 raised to power 4. 10 raised to power 4. Since we moved it 4 steps or 4 places and we moved it to the left, the number of the power will be 10 raised to power 4, which means that we've expressed this number in standard form. Now let's go to the next one. Now in this two examples, we can see that the decimal point is already included, so we don't have any need of asking where we're going to put our decimal point. Decimal point is already there, but as you can see, the number is less than the value of 1. Remember, we said that our a must be a range between 1 and 10. So, but this what we have here on the board is less than 1. So we're going to have to also do the same thing we did here, which is move the decimal point in its particular direction so that we can get a value which is between 1 and 10. But in this case, we're going to move the decimal point, instead of moving it to the left, in this case, we're going to move it to the right. So let's start. Here we take 1 place, 2 places. Remember what we did here, we were taking note of the direction and the number of places in which we move the decimal point. So in this case, we're not moving it to the left, instead of moving it to the right. And when you move it to the right, you write 1 and 2. So we will now get a number which is 4.9. 4.9. 4.9. And we know that 4.9 is between 1 and 10. Now you now write your multiplication sign and 10, which is this 10. Now you now ask yourself, what would be the value of n in this expression? So please take note of this. When expressing numbers, especially decimal numbers in standard form, you have to take note of 1, the number of places you move the decimal point, and 2, the direction. Now in this case, if the direction is to the right, then the power of 10 will be negative. The power of 10 will be negative. In this case, if the number of places is to the left, the power of 10 will be positive. But in this case, if the movement of the decimal point is to the right, the power of 10 will be negative. So now, the number of places we moved it here was how many places? 1 and 2. So it's going to be 2. But because we moved it to the right, it's going to be minus 2, negative 2. Negative 2, because we moved it 2 places to the right. So in this case, we moved it 2 places to the left, so it is positive 2. But in this case, move it 2 places to the right, which means it's going to be negative 2. So let's do the final example. The final example, which is 0.0078. You have the decimal point, so we'll move it to the right so that we can get a value for our a, which will be between 1 and 10. So we now move it 1, 2, 3. Give us 7.8 times 10. This 10, of course, we know that we move the decimal point 1, 2, 3 places to the right. And since we're moving it 3 places to the right, the value for n will be minus 3. So like we did here, we moved this decimal point to the right, taking note of the number of places we moved it to, And that number of places which we moved it to is what we write as our power of 10. But the sign will depend on the direction which we actually move it up, move the decimal point to. If we move the decimal point to the left, it will be positive. But if we move the decimal point to the right, it will be negative. So this is how you express numbers in standard form. It's very, very straightforward. In case you're finding some of the explanations a bit difficult to remember, you can go back and watch the video again, and then also do some examples of your own. I'm sure that you get better understanding. So that will come to the end of the video. If this video is very helpful, please leave a like, and also drop your questions. If you have any questions in the comment section, and then don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.